Hello and welcome. Mark Thomas, the head of our Global Threat Intelligence Report and one of the main authors to the 2021 Global Threat Intelligence Report. A really interesting report. It's the ninth time it's been produced now, ninth year. Tell us a bit about the report. What's its background? What's the value it brings at the moment?
So we've been doing this report for about 9 years now. Every year we try to make it a little bit different. What we're providing is really a holistic view into the threat landscape. So everything from threats, vulnerabilities, and risks that we see. We're taking all of the insights around our managed security services clients, our global network of honeypot sensors, of course our global internet backbone, our consulting services data where we look at the current state and target state of a client's security maturity. And we also for this year work with some of our external partners in Europol and the Cyber Threat Alliance. And what we're trying to understand is what's actually taking place from year to year. Why is it different? Why is it relevant to have a deep insight look in terms of what's happening, how we can also make our solutions and recommendations to our clients to help drive their security posture forward.
Great. And look, every year there's some fascinating insights that surprise all of us to some degree. And I suppose the learning is the adversaries are pivoting and changing direction all the time. What would you say are the main key findings and industries that got targeted are for Australia and New Zealand over the last 12 months?
Look, I think it's the shift in sector targeting. Every year it's slightly different, but this year we saw finance, education, and the technology sector making up about 80% of the attacks that we saw. Last year, manufacturing didn't really get a mention, but this year we see it in the top four of the sectors that are most targeted. And that's really due to critical infrastructure as well as essential services off the back of vaccine cold chain targeting. What we're seeing a lot of activity is around education sector brute forcing. So that's moved from the number 4 position to number 2. And of course, within the technology sector, a lot more reconnaissance activity that we see. Finance sector, of course, there's always a lot of web application attacks as they're looking to evolve their applications to the cloud. We're also seeing a lot more activity due to people working from home. So because of so many applications and new infrastructure that's being deployed, threat actors are following suit and starting to target that infrastructure. So everything from IoT devices, home routers as well, where we saw a lot of targeting to home routers themselves, which is quite different to what we've seen from a year-to-year basis.
And look, you mentioned some really key industries. I think finance and probably healthcare are in the press every second or third day. Welcome to Patric over in our New Zealand office. Patric, do these industries seem to be getting the same focus from the adversaries in New Zealand?
Hi John, thank you. Yes, we're certainly seeing a significant increase in cyber attacks across the New Zealand healthcare industry as well as the financial sector. We know that the patient data is valuable. Healthcare systems continue to use outdated and unsupported systems. But Mark, do you think that this heightened activity is also driven by the evolution and change in malware?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the malware threat landscape continues to evolve every year. It's certainly become more commoditized in both features and functions. But we're also seeing a lot more diversity in the types of malware that we see when we analyze the data from both an industry perspective as well as a regional perspective. To give you some idea, crypto mining, for example, we don't see too much of that activity within the ANZ Nexus nor Asia Pacific, but we see a lot of that activity happening in the Americas and Europe. What we are seeing a lot of is around botnets, Trojans, and web shells, specifically within ANZ. We're also seeing a lot more Trojans that are targeting healthcare, worms that are targeting finance, and ransomware, which is really targeting the technology sector quite rapidly.
Yeah. And look, Mark, the report doesn't just raise the fear and uncertainty aspect, it goes into some really practical and good examples of what you need to do. Now, I hate this question. I always get asked this question. What's the top 1 or 2 things you would do? And of course, as a cybersecurity professional, there's a million things you should and would do. But let me ask you that question. What's some of the key takeaways from the report that are practical and actionable?
Look, I think one of the main trends that we see, because COVID has changed everything, it's really been that force multiplier. Everything from applications to infrastructure has to be protected. It's really about the new way of working and protecting the employee everywhere they go. So from the home office, to maybe the local cafe, to the cloud, being able to protect and preserve and securely store that data, but also protecting the user and the devices that they're using as well. So think how you access those applications, how are you securing that, and if you are enabling remote access, make sure that it's being performed in a secure manner.
Yeah, great. And look, we realise that communications in cyber is one of the key aspects, communicating to the executives what the threats are. So there's a cut of the report for the executive level to get a feel for what's going on. And there's some really detailed reports available as well that go into the malware and some of the botnet takedowns that NTT's been involved in. So they're all online, all available, thoroughly recommended read. Congratulations for another fantastic report. It's got a lot of visibility, a lot of people are using it, and look forward to speaking to you about it soon.